Welcome to Market Overtime. I'm Nicole Petallides at the New York Stock Exchange. Our guest today has closed over $10 billion in real estate deals over his career, is a best-selling author, stars in multiple television shows. To discuss the world of real estate, I'm pleased to be joined by Ryan Serhant, founder, CEO, broker of Serhant. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. We have such a list of stuff to talk about. I think I'll start to talk about by 2024 was record growth for you.
Yes.
In a time where real estate wasn't necessarily so great. Let's talk about 25 now. Another great year ahead?
I think so. I think the market is completely open for business. I think you'll see, in terms of housing anyway, I think you'll see moderate pricing increase of about 5% nationally. But what I care about the most is absorption. So absorption and inventory. Right? As we think about the housing market, it's defined by three things, which is supply, demand, and interest rates. And so rates are what they are. Fed benchmark rate will trickle down, but I think the end loan user market will stay somewhere between 6 and 7% for, let's say, a 30-year fixed. People are going to have to move, so we'll probably see 10 to 15% more house sales this year than we saw last year, and that's what I care about.
How did you get into this business? I mean, you're here ruling the whole East Coast. You're a top broker in New York City. You have this huge team. You've just gotten in $45 million in funding. How did this all start?
I ran out of money in the summer of 2008. I was in New York City. I went to college. I graduated. I came to New York City to do theater, and I didn't want to have a survival job. I didn't want to bartend or wait tables, and so I ran out of money, and a friend said, listen, you're good at improv. Get your real estate license. It's the same exact thing. Meet people at Starbucks, meet people on the street, meet pregnant women, and get them to get a 2-bedroom, and that's what I do.
Yeah, and that worked for you. You know, it's interesting because now your company has an array of things. You have Simple. This is a software solution.
Yes.
I want to hear a little bit about that. That's
Yeah.
helping all the brokers and using AI and all
Yes.
this. You have so many different things that you're working on all at the same time. A Netflix series, huge, Owning Manhattan after $1 million listing New York, had 9 seasons, won a couple of Emmys, but now you have Owning Manhattan, your Netflix show. You're doing a lot of things.
Yeah, yes, we are. You have to today, right? It's 2025. Like, you've got to be able to diversify brand awareness. And I'm in the attention business more than anything. My product is no longer the skill set or the real estate. The product is the attention. And if you combine that attention with skill set,
Right.
and with the product of real estate, then you can raise to the top. So Simple, which is our AI service, is human expertise and SaaS automation to build the first ever large action model for real estate. So it replaces administrative work for salespeople and sales teams. If you think about a general salesperson out on the street, whether they're selling real estate or cars or insurance, 80% of their day is administrative work. Is CRM work, is email work, is follow-up, is marketing, is stuff. 20% of their day is doing what their highest and best use of their time is. So we're flipping that. We're saying we're going to give you 80% of your day to do what you do best, that systems and processes can't replace for you. 20% of your day, you're still going to have to do stuff as we create the first screenless real estate brokerage. That's my goal.
It's unbelievable. And your brokers are all your agents are using this. Are you hoping to expand this to all the other real estate firms that we know so well? Do you think maybe they'll end up using Simple?
Probably, or their agents will just join us, which is what's happening right now.
Oh, that's interesting.
We grow organically. You know, our competitors have significant either public money or investor capital to spend to buy revenue, and we never had that before. So we grow nice and organically.
So at this point now, when you think about your time and how you're allocating this, where do you consider your time most important now on a day-to-day basis? I mean,
and I'm CEO of all the companies, and there's 4 of them, and so I manage across the brokerage, across Simple, across Studios, the production company, and across Sellit.com. We released our new Sellit platform on Monday. We do direct-to-consumer and B2B sales training, I think better than absolutely anybody else, which is where I spend a good amount of my time. But leading the company, leading the staff, leading the agents, sitting here with you, spending time here, doing what I do best.
Getting the attention. By the way, with all the admin and all the work, and I saw it was 600 days are saved by using Simple. I mean, it was insane with the work that these folks have to do. I spoke to a broker who actually asked me about some of the new regulations. When a buyer comes in, they have to sign new forms. There's a lot of new regulations that are just coming out even this month, January. What do you think about those? Are they pain? Are they horrific? Is it good news? Is it an ethics issue?
The process of buying a home has not gotten any easier with more regulation. It's just made it more transparent. I'm all for free market transparency.
Right.
Putting agreements in front of a buyer so they know exactly what commissions are, what the taxes are, what the fees are, is something we've done all the time. Now it's just law.
Right.
And so a lot of agents weren't doing that. They're catching up to what I would say the good agents were doing, which was being as transparent with their clients as possible.
Right.
And now it just creates greater market transparency. I think what we're seeing, though, is a flight to quality in terms of who you work with. So now you're not just going to work with anyone. Now that you're signing an agreement saying, hey, I'm making sure that you are going to be compensated, I want to make sure that I'm working with the best of the best, which is why I think, in part, our firm has done so well.
So you're okay with it? I mean, it seems like you're okay with more. I mean, it's a lot of paperwork.
I mean, it's good for us. It's good for our business because we just work with the best. I mean, we just crossed $560 million in transactions for the first 14 days of this year.
That's
the fastest start to any year I've ever had. Good. In part because the consumer is aware now that if we're paying somebody to help us sell or buy our home, we should work with the best and not just work with the rest.
So let's go through some idea. I mean, the fastest house ever sold that you've done in these years, how fast can you sell a house?
Sold a house on Friday. I met the client at 10 a.m. We were in contract by noon. That was pretty quick.
That was pretty quick. How about expensive house?
Sold a house in Palm Beach for just under $140 million. Did that deal in one day. That was the most expensive. Much? Just under 140.
Oh my God, 140 million.
Well, we sell towers. We're selling Mercedes-Benz Places Miami right now, which is the fastest selling new development condominium tower I've ever been a part of. It's well over $1 billion sellout. So we sell lots of stuff.
So also, when someone's looking for a house, what is maybe some of the big mistakes that they might make when they're shopping for a house?
They focus on the 3 nights a year that they're going to have people over and making sure that they have a living room or a view for those 3 nights instead of every other day they're going to be living in this home and what you need to focus on, right? Think about your entire monthly costs. It doesn't just include that monthly payment for the mortgage or for the taxes.
Right.
What's your commute time? You know, we have people say, well, I can't live in New York City anymore. I'm going to have to live in Long Island because it's cheaper. Okay, but what do those hours cost you? What's your life cost?
I never left. I never left New York City, even though I grew up in Long Island.
2 to 3 hours a day.
But my kids are here.
What's that monthly payment on your life? People don't do that math. That's a big mistake.
So, I mean, you talked about interest rates. I mean, we actually saw rates creeping higher rather than going lower. We've seen some fluctuations. What's an ideal mortgage rate that will get everything moving?
2.5%.
Okay, come on, Ryan. Come on.
Hello.
All right, how about in reality?
Zero?
How about
Zero
in
would get
reality?
everyone
I mean,
moving.
even Larry Fink this week was talking about, look, you might see 5.5% on the 10-year. You might see 4.5%. I mean, no one really knows. I guess we're in a wider range. But what would you like to see ideally in 25 to get things moving?
I'm focused on mortgage rates.
Yeah,
if we could get mortgage rates with a 5 handle, so if you get them under 6% for a 30-year fix, which you can do with buying down, which you can buy down points. There's a lot of home builders that are buying down points. It's all about setting that term, so you're marrying the house, you're dating the rate, right? So if we can get that under 6%, I don't think we'll see that this year, but if we can do that, then you open up kind of your free market. Remember, 90% of everyone in the United States that has a home loan, those home loans are under 5%.
Right.
So for anyone to move today, their mortgage is no longer debt, it's a financial asset. It's sitting there on their personal balance sheet saying, look how great of a deal I have on that $400,000 loan. It's no longer, right, this thing that's creeping up on them. It's something they don't want to give up anymore.
So when you invest your money now, because it's amazing, at a young age, you're incredibly successful, you're an innovator, a disruptor, you just got this 45 million, it's your first funding, you have so much more ahead of you.
Yeah.
Where are you investing your money? I mean, do you own a lot of properties? Do you own funds, ETFs? Do you have your own broker? I mean, where are you putting your money to work? Bitcoin?
Yeah. I'd say I have a pretty diversified personal portfolio, but I don't really care about stuff that much. Like, I don't really like cars and things, and I mean, I do real estate all day long, so then I don't like come home and say, you know what I want to do is think about more real estate. Like I'm good at it, and we own a lot of it. I really like building company, so I have 4 of them, and I really like investing in employees. Like every dollar I make, I'm like, okay, how many more people can I hire with that money to build enterprise value so that when I'm 50, future Ryan, who will be even grayer than current Ryan today, is excited and doesn't care about the fact that I had some car that I never drove. It's just stupid.
Okay, you know what? I think part of your success, and tell me if I'm wrong, but is that you're so real and your language is so real. And I've seen some of your education and speeches that you give, and you really give people the perspective. You say your perspective can be your prison or your passport. I mean, some of your language.
I did say that.
Yeah, I liked that one. I like that one.
That's
I mean,
a good
I
one.
think it's your positivity that helps to make Ryan who he is. You know?
I think we have outside of chemical imbalance, I think you have a choice every day. I think things could always be better, and they could always be worse. I think you just have to walk a mile in someone else's shoes to make you realize, oh, wait a minute, you know what? It's not so bad. Like, everything's going to be okay. And the most important thing to understand is this too shall pass. The greatest day of your life will come to an end, as will the worst day of your life.
So I love that you've already won an Emmy. You had 2-time Emmy winning,
Nominated.
right? Nominated. Okay, so you
Nominated.
didn't get that, so you're not quite up to.
I wasn't
what's
going to
the-
correct you before,
what's
but now that
what's
you brought
the
it back
4
up.
letters when you win all
EGOT.
4? Yeah. Okay, I want you
I
to
don't think
get
I'm
that.
winning a Grammy.
I don't know, but in the meantime, you have an acting career. I mean, for folks who love soap operas like me, we're on As the World Turns.
Wow.
And you have
Throwback.
movie appearances and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you see more of that in your future? Maybe.
So all these employees I'm investing in, I think would have a really hard time if all of a sudden I went and made a movie. Owning Manhattan takes up a significant amount of our time. We're filming season 2 for Netflix right now. It's the greatest real estate TV show in the history of the world. Season 1 was insane. Totally changed my life, actually, when it came out in June. And I'm really excited about that. There's a certain level of performance to that, but they film us for a year, and so it's real. They were on the stock exchange filming me giving interviews and screwing up, a couple weeks ago.
No way, no screw-ups. That's all part of the reality of it and the excitement. Fit AI back into our conversation here. Okay. I mean, we talked a little bit about your simple. I just think technology has changed the landscape for every business, and you have multiple businesses.
Always.
I mean, if you had a conversation with Elon Musk, for example, what would you be doing next? I mean, you already got the $45 million. Are you looking for more money? And what would you be doing with this money?
Well, what we're doing with the money right now is investing in the systems and the companies that we have today and helping them scale and grow. So it's not just me anymore. For the first 4 years, it was just me bootstrapped building this business and businesses. We're very, very excited about what you would call, I guess, agentic AI. So how can you use AI to create artificial employees, right? Artificial responses, artificial work, so that you can make tasks optional. It's not replacing work, it's changing work. It's making tasks optional for the humans. And I think humans are the moat. If you look at anything that we're doing on the real estate side, you're not removing the people, you're making the people stronger, and you're empowering that support as we go into a world where the biggest companies are no longer just tech enabled, they're AI empowered, and that's super exciting.
I love it. I love it all. And when I think about how you've expanded along the East Coast, you're in New York, you're in Florida, you're in Georgia, you have had to deal with some weather events, right? Florida and some hurricanes. In fact, it's my understanding you're working really hard now with the LA fires, the devastating LA fires, deaths, trying to help folks there. I mean, some thoughts on some of the weather events and how your business also plays a part in that.
Yep. There will always be weather events. There's always going to be fires, earthquakes, and floods, especially as the Earth continues to evolve. As far as the LA fires are concerned, I mean, it's a travesty and epic proportions, something that we've never seen in Los Angeles before. We are not licensed in California, so there is no Serhant in California, but we have a significant network that's there. Mm-hmm. The first thing we did, outside of money, outside of donations, outside of stupid social media thoughts and prayers, was going to every single client we have on the East Coast and saying, we're going to have brothers and sisters in the West Coast who are going to need housing, because what's happening in LA is you're going to see price increases. You're going to see disaster capitalists raising prices, and the penalties to do that
and
are
we're
like
already
10
seeing
grand.
that. We're already seeing some
but
of that.
But the penalties are, it's $10,000, $2,500 for every subsequent kind of violation, or 1 year in county jail, which has never been prosecuted before. So anyway, we went to all of our clients on the East Coast and we said, if you have a bedroom, if you have a home, if there's anything you want, let us know. We're going to put it in a pool for anyone who needs housing for free.
Have you already seen that in action?
Yeah, it's been insane. It's been completely crazy. Outside of making donations to the Los Angeles Fire Department, outside of helping everyone we possibly can, and also making sure that the awareness stays, because the media cycle, right? Fire, and then they move on to the next thing. Like, losing your home is devastating, and it doesn't get fixed in a day.
Oh yeah, and this is, as you said, I mean, this is a travesty. This is going to take years and years to now tackle. When we think about, unfortunately, my question comes from when I think about the bidding wars that are actually going on in LA now. I mean, I was hearing about one home that was renting for $30,000 a month, and now someone came and outbid for $50,000 a month. I mean, that's a special circumstance. But you must have experienced a lot of bidding wars after COVID or during COVID. I mean, things went nuts, right?
Yes.
Well, tell me about some of your crazy bidding war moments.
Well, New York City completely
New
shut
York
down.
City.
So
Yeah,
New York
New
City
York,
took a minute.
Long Island, I
New York
guess.
City came back in 2021, but what I remember distinctly about New York was COVID hit, the city shut down, the politicians in New York said everyone's going to die, save yourselves, and we looked around and said, I think New York's eventually going to be fine. Don't bet against it. But we had sellers so nervous that they were selling. We sold up an apartment. We represented the buyer. The seller was in it for $36 million. Our buyer got it for 16. But that was the only deal over $10 million done in like that entire week. It was the craziest thing we've ever seen that's happened to the housing market. 2021 is a year we'll never, ever, ever get again. But listen, you saw the same thing after 9/11, right? A lot of people in lower Manhattan also needed homes.
Right.
They could not get back home. And what do you think happened? You had people who looked at that as opportunity, which I do not think is right.
So at this point now, what's your recommendation for folks? Because people like to do real estate for passive income. I mean, they sometimes think they can do an Airbnb or rent things out. What do you tell folks who want to do that?
Do it.
Yeah?
You could do it. Real estate's a great business. It's a great business. There's only so much land. There's only so many houses. There's incredible demand out there. Just make sure you don't get over your skis. A lot of people get over their skis, which is, I would say, hard to do today given where rates are. It's hard for institutional developers. We have a lot of developers that we've worked with for 10 years. All they did is New York City, and they can't even afford to build here anymore given where rates are and where construction costs are. They're building, neighborhoods in Idaho and Utah, and so there's an interesting diversification that's happening. Yes.
So at this point too, another friend of mine once told me, and he has homes in very nice places. He said you should buy your home in the nice vacation spot and rent in the city, because the vacation spot goes up more. He was talking about Nantucket and Vail and things like that. But is that right? Would you say don't buy the first home, instead
I don't know.
buy this vacation home?
That's a Manhattanite kind of parable. I think you should focus on location regardless of where you are. And I think what he's really probably pointing to is, I bought a random apartment on 3rd Avenue, but I bought a house in Nantucket. Nantucket, the house went up more in value, well, obviously, because it was smaller location, smaller supply, greater demand, more prime location, probably more prime property. Trophy property and trophy location will always increase over non-trophy and non-prime.
So you have another role, and that is husband and daddy.
Oh, right.
Right? How's that going? You have a young one.
I do. She's 5. We're teaching her to ski this year. She's skiing backwards. It's great when they're small because their center of gravity is so low, so they can fall and they just move back up, versus me where you fall and you stay fall.
Well, I'm sure you're giving her lots of great advice. I think about that when you were in college, you didn't necessarily have a business career ahead of you.
I was doing theater. I was playing a clock.
Well, that was tough.
Yeah,
right?
It's my arms like to go tick tock for like hours on stage is really hard.
So
my
who
parents had high
helped
hopes
you?
for me.
So who helped you, who guides you on the daily in your business career? I mean, you must have mentors, right?
No, I wish people would help me. I just have a ruthless desire to win and beat everybody.
Do you think the stock market's going to have a winning year?
I hope so. If it doesn't, we'll take advantage of it and it'll come right back like it always does.
Do you think that the new administration will bring in some good things? I mean, maybe businesses will see a lot of mergers and acquisitions, and maybe things will thrive?
Who cares about anti-competitive nature anymore, right? Like, let's see what happens. I'm excited about housing stock. The number one owner of land to build new homes on in the United States is the government, both locally and nationally. And if he can stick to one of his campaign talks, anyway, I don't even think it was a promise, which was about he got to create government incentives for the private sector, so the developers to build. that could create so much
So
more
much
housing
more.
that would also be affordable. The more housing we have, the lower prices we have.
Right.
The more affordability we have that we can, give out to people.
When you also think about the big picture and how quickly things get done, I mean, you must see new properties and new buildings go up, and those were doing so well. New homes were doing even better than existing homes, especially because of the mortgage environment. Do you get frustrated by how long it may take to build a home?
It took me 4 years to build my house, so that was frustrating. But again, it depends on the state.
Okay.
Like the process of building a home in New York City is not the same as building a home in
Where is
Delray.
it good? Where is it good?
Florida.
Okay.
Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. We just opened in Georgia. We just opened in Atlanta. You've got the Southwest, Arizona, New Mexico.
Are you going to be going all there?
We
too?
are launching
On the Sun
Arizona
Belt?
literally as I sit here. My team is there. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, Arizona's a great state.
That's beautiful. Tell me about social media and how social media, I mean, now we may be facing more on TikTok. I think TikTok's going to be a conversation for this whole year. But, social media, you have millions of followers on Instagram, for example. Tell me about how social media has helped you.
I would not be here if it were not for social.
Which ones do you like the best?
Our primary driver of lead flow is LinkedIn. Our primary driver of brand awareness is Instagram. And I don't see either of those changing. Everything else is a phase. So if TikTok's there, great. If it's not there, everyone will move somewhere else. That's what always happens. Our entire business is content to community to commerce. 15 years ago, I realized that the skill set that was the product in the sales business was being replaced by attention. And so the product that we sell now is the attention for the homes, for the buildings, for
Right.
us, for our companies. It's no longer the skill set to sell, and it's no longer just the product. So if you can work that attention and productize the attention, which is what social enables you to do, you can build the biggest business in the world, which is what we're working on doing.
How are you going to get more attention? I mean, I feel like the Kardashians were really good at that. I'm not comparing you to the Kardashians, but hey, they're super successful.
Yeah.
And one of the ways was to continue to be in the news.
Yep.
And I guess attention, good or bad, is good. Is that right? How are you
All
going to do
ex-
that? I
all
mean, what's your?
exposure is good
your
exposure.
Netflix show will bring you attention.
Netflix has been huge
immediately.
for us. Yeah, that was global awareness in a way we've never seen. It broke
Right.
our website. I mean, completely changed my life. $1 Million Listing changed my life as well when that show first came out. I ran for nearly 10 years and all the spin-off shows and everything. But being here with you, right? Making sure that every single day it's ABB, always be branding. If you're building a company, building a business,
Right.
even for yourself as an employee to go and try to get a promotion, what is your brand within your company? How does your boss look at you as a problem solver and not just payroll? ABB, always be branding. That is the secret sauce.
So Andy Cohen said you're charming and hilarious, but that you could sell milk to a cow.
Yeah.
And I love that. When you think about you're getting it done, what do you tell young folks who are coming out of college? I know you've been asked this so many times, but really they want to make money and they want to have money to buy a property. How are they going to have money to buy? It's so hard to make money and save money and buy property.
I actually somewhat disagree. I think it's
Really?
way easier to make money today than it's ever been before.
How so?
When I graduated college in 2006, I couldn't make money on my phone. I had a Palm Trio. I had just had a Nokia. I had to go get a job and work there and be paid per hour. How else was I gonna make money? Today I can have 10 different streams of income, all from my phone. I just wrote a book last year called Brand It Like Serhant and how to make millions of dollars just with your phone. I think anyone can create incredible income today from the power of their phone in a way that you never were able to do before. And the IP that you can create now internally, just because you can learn so much so fast, you just have to be willing to do the work and you have to not have a fear of being embarrassed. Most kids these days, because they grew up on their phone, they're not afraid of failure because no one
Right.
cares anymore. They're afraid of embarrassing themselves.
Right.
Once you let go that fear of being embarrassed, anything is possible.
And then they should go out and get a house or an apartment. I mean, what kind of qualities
Or invest
make-
in themselves,
or-
invest in a business, invest in companies, grow, be smart, listen to others, be willing to do any type of job.
Right, right.
There's a reason that we farm out so many jobs outside of this country because people don't want to do them in the country because they think they're better than them. I've never thought I was better than any job. I'll fix a microwave if I
Oh,
have
me
to.
Me too, Ryan. I'm telling you, I love to work. I always wanted to be successful and I was always trying to learn. But I will ask you this. What's an underrated or overrated feature in a house? If when people are buying homes, they say, "Oh, this is so great." Maybe that was overrated, or maybe they've had something in their home that they didn't really realize was so cool. What would be an underrated or an overrated feature of a home?
Underrated is always closets. Right, you come in, you see the big windows, the living room, everything's beautiful. You think about, oh, does it have closets? Okay, great. And you don't think about them until you need them and say, wait a minute, now what do I do? There's no storage. Oh shoot, we bought a house with no basement. Oh shoot, where do I put a stroller? What do I do with my stuff? Remember, houses are for stuff. You're typically at work unless you work from home.
Yeah.
So what do you do with all your stuff?
All right, closets, that's underrated.
Overrated are the dining room. The amount of time I spend with people who don't buy homes, well, because the dining. How often are you sitting there? Are you having sit-down plated dinners every single night? If you are, wow. But you're probably not. So that separate dining room, like there's so
my
many
wedding
other
china
things to do.
sits in the china cabinet.
Exactly.
It's true. All right. Well, I hope that 2025 for you is superb. A final 2025 thought?
I think it's 2020 thrive. I am super excited about this year because there's no other alternative, right? New administration, the world is open for business. If bad things happen, they were gonna happen anyway. The market does not dictate your income. It only dictates your strategy.
All right, Ryan Serhant, the founder, CEO, broker of Serhant.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here
Thanks for
today.
having
We
me.
really enjoyed having you. That's going to do it for us here on Market Overtime. Tune in every week for new episodes, Schwab Network. You can follow our YouTube page as well for the show archives. I'm Nicole Petallides. I'll see you next time.